Hello. Hey Christine, nice to see you. Hey Judy. Hey, MC Chiller in the house. Chilling out with my C-sharp pygmy from Alaya. I've been away from the studio for a few days and I came back today. And I'm kind of finding it hard to get in the flow of doing, admin work and editing. I've filmed so many videos over the last few weeks for the channel that I've kind of, have now left unedited for a long time. I'm kind of trying to build up the motivation to start work on that. And so I was just sat on my computer like, I should be doing all of this work, but I just really am not feeling it. Also, I should be really tidying my studio because it's such a mess right now. There's like snack wrappers and books and instruments everywhere. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just going to go live and play some handpan and get in the zone and start fresh tomorrow. Yeah, I'm in the UK. Which is your favorite handpan from your collection? What are your favorite handpans? I'm intrigued to know. It's such a hard question. I feel like this question gets asked every time I go live. And I don't know. Right now I'm really vibing with this just because it's so extended. I've gone my whole handpan life without owning a pygmy until this year. And now I have this C-sharp pygmy, I have an F low pygmy, I have an F sharp low pygmy. All of a sudden I've just started diving into the world of pygmies, and I really love it, especially in this extended form where I can still play in multiple keys and really get a lot out of it. I'm really enjoying it. And this is my newest one as well, so that explains why I'm loving this so much. That said, I am currently trying to figure out, there's a couple of makers that I would like handpans from. So I've been kind of, customizing, trying to come up with a scale that I like. I'm thinking maybe a C Sabai, C Ashikira. Like a nice low, deep major scale that C major is just a good key for my voice. A minor, C major. So I might get a C ascicurus of some kind. I've also seen Alex play that scale a lot, and I really like the sound of it. I might ask him what extensions he's got. And then the other one I was looking at is the Nordli scale that Manic have been making in collaboration with oh my goodness, Eric. What is his stage name? I've forgotten. Anyway, I would love to get that in G2 rather than F sharp 2. I need a low scale. I don't have any low deep pans. Apart from this is the lowest. C sharp is the lowest that I have. But then I have a Rab Vast that's an F2. But you don't feel the vibration in the same way from a Rab. So I really like something that I can really groove with that's deep. And I feel like G is deep enough for me, maybe. Yeah. Hello from Salt Lake City. Trev asks, where do you source them from? There are lots of handpan makers all over the place. This one is from Italy. This is from a maker called Alaya Handpans, based in Milan, in Italy. Some of the golden ones that you see behind here, they're from here in the UK, in Bristol. The company name is Meridian Handpans. And that's pretty much what I play, is those two makers at the moment. I also have a Haig pan. Haig is a new maker based out in Los Angeles. And hopefully, I'm starting to get really far too deep into it, and I would love to add instruments from other builders to my collection, because every maker has such a different approach and such a, so many nuances in the sound depending on like how people approach building their instruments, and just different energies gone into it. But as I start doing that, I might have to start selling things because it starts to get a little bit silly and I don't have a whole lot of space unless I somehow change something in here. It's possible. But yeah. Anthony asks, who is the best handpan maker? I can't answer that. I refuse to answer that question. I don't think there is a best handpan maker. Different makers have different things that they excel in. I really like bright handpans with long sustain, and Alaya handpan are really good at that. Meridian handpan are really good at that. I really like huge extended scales. Alaya handpans are good at that. The more you extend scales, the more notes you add, the more difficult it gets to build, and the more it interacts with itself in a really strange way. The less pure it starts to sound. So this isn't the purest pan in the world because it's got so many notes. But oh my goodness. So clear, so bright, so pristine. I think this is something that Mumi from Alaya does a really good job of. Meridian, also, their high notes, just bliss. They're so bright and lovely. But some people don't like that brightness. Some people like warmth. In which case they might benefit more from makers like Manic Sound Sculpture or Veritas Sound Sculpture or Ishama or Zephyr. They're much more warm, much more ceramic in sound. If you want something that's a little bit more balanced and a little bit pure, more pure and kind of with less kind of wide character happening, then people like Ayasa, again Yishama, Satya Sound Sculptures, very, very pure and clean in their sound. I think, they're all different. I think there is no one best maker. Definitely not. Kata Atto AI. Are you real? Are you an AI? Asks, can you do a comparison between the cheapest and the most expensive one? I don't really know how these would be valued now. This is probably the most expensive because it has the most notes. So here we go. Yep. I think the next most expensive is probably this one, because things are falling over. My room is so messy. Because of all of the extra work that's gone into creating this textured surface, it doesn't have quite so many notes. It's a mutant on top, and it's got 2 notes underneath. This is very nice and warm and pure. This is one from Meridian Handpan. Much less, it still has a lot of resonance, but each note is so isolated. If you listen again to the other one and hear how much wider this is, because it doesn't have this texture, much brighter it is. Hear the difference between that and this slap sound. Now if I play a similar kind of thing here, whoa, sorry, Handpan. You hear how that slap is much more closed. Now if I play one from the same maker but without this textured surface, by the way, this is a very one-off pan. He is not building these, but other makers are making textured pans. So this is also a Meridian, but without the texture. Yeah, much brighter. I really like bright pans. That's just what I love. So that's why I have these. And then I have another Elia handpan, which is probably similarly priced to this one. I have another Meridian handpan. It's probably similarly priced to this one, maybe a little bit more expensive. No, probably the same. And then depending on, I don't know, this is either really expensive or really cheap, depending on how much you value hangs. Some people love them, some people hate them. Some people are able to sell these for like £6,000, which is ridiculous and it's not worth that. This is this is first generation? I don't know. Pan art. Hang. The original handpan. So it's only got 8 notes, but it's probably similarly priced to this, maybe a little bit cheaper. also the only nitrided pan I've got in the room right now. Because I'm naturally just trying to play a bottom note there. Yeah, I really like warm, long sustain, so I don't really have. I don't tend to purchase nitrided pans. However, I like having them around. I really enjoy it when I get to borrow one because I just love grooving. And when you groove and you want to play fast and loud on a stainless instrument, you really have to learn how to be able to control that sound so that it doesn't just get too big and crazy and wild and just mud. Whereas on a nitrided instrument, you can really just afford to really go for it and it doesn't become overwhelming. But I also like that I have to have that control and that like finesse in the touch. It's good for me because it means that I have no choice but to practice and hone my skills, which is good because, you know, I'm trying to make this my living. I am making this my living. So I have to keep up. Yeah, this could do with a bit of a clean, I think. Maybe that could be one of my jobs tomorrow. Clean this baby up. Yeah. Looking pretty good though. This is a Akebano. And the serial number is I think that's a 158 or 1 again, not sure. Signed by Felix. This one does not belong to me. This belongs to Daniel Waples, whose videos you might be familiar with from the early days. So then the cheapest probably is this. This is an old Rav drum from like, I don't know, 2000, Rust. 2000, when did I start playing? 2014. So I must have got this maybe 2017, something like that. Yeah. And then the next one, this really does need a good cleanup. I don't play this very often. It's a B-Rose. You can hear all about my thoughts and feelings about the B-Rose in a video that's going to come out on Rosie Bugonzi's channel soon. We have a video for each of our channels where we rate handpan scales. It's silly, it's fun. Don't take us seriously, but yeah, the B-Rose comes up. And we have feelings about that. And then, so the last one I'll show you, which is probably the cheapest handpan, more expensive than the Rav. I actually don't know how much he's charging at this point. Is a Handpan, and the only reason that is cheap right now is because he's still quite fresh. And this was a gift. This was given to me. But I don't know. I don't know how much he's charging. If he's still charging prototype prices anymore, or if he's charging full price. I don't know. But this one sounds like this. This is another low pygmy. This is an F sharp low pygmy. and you can hear this is a really lovely instrument, but it's an early one, so you can hear that like the highest notes. Mutant notes are so difficult to pull off well, and these have got a little bit of crosstalk, a little bit of wobble still, but from what I've seen of this is more than a year old, I think. From what I've seen of what Hag's building now, he's already like making really nice instruments. So I love this one. The only problem I have with this instrument, and this is a me problem, not an instrument problem, is there are two types of players in Handpan world. There are position 1 players and position 1-2 players. I'm a position 1 player. By that I mean, when I sit with a handpan, I usually have the first note in the scale right at my belly button here. So I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ding. Other types of handpan players play in the position 1-2. So they have note 1 on their right hand side and note 2 on their left hand side, which makes things feel a bit more symmetrical. And this is built with that 1-2 position in mind, which logically makes perfect sense, and totally I see why it can and maybe should be this way. But in my mind, I'm so used to being a position 1 player, just this tiny little shift changes everything. So I kind of play it like this, but then because it's not built with this in mind, the things kind of offset and the mutant notes are kind of offset. So it takes my brain a little while to adjust from these instruments to this instrument, because it wasn't built specifically for me in mind. But yeah, so that's my that's the only thing. But that is not a comment on the quality of the instrument. That's a comment on my lack of ability to adjust, adapt. So there we go. And I have officially run out of shelf space as well. I need more shelf space. All right, let's see. What other questions do I have? Christine asks, oh, thank you, Christine, for the donation. I really appreciate that. Super kind. If anybody feels compelled to, donate to keep this channel going, keep the free education rolling, anything, any small amount is really massively appreciated. Let me just pin this as I read it. When you feel ready to move beyond the D chord, how do you know what the next scale should be, especially if you like so many? The struggle is real. I think when I was ready to move beyond the D chord, and D chord doesn't have to be your beginner pan, your first pan. That's not always the case, but it was for me. What did I do? Well, my second pan was an F low pygmy, just a standard 8-note scale. It had less notes than the chord that I had at the time. And my thought process was, it also took me a while to decide, because at the time I had very little money. I was still living at home. I was newly out of becoming, I had just graduated at university. So I was just starting to work and I was teaching. But, when you first start teaching music, it takes a little while to get going. So I didn't necessarily have a super solid income. So my decision was limited by how much I could even afford. So I knew that I had to buy something within the UK, really. I had to pick a maker who was within the UK to avoid all of the shipping fees. And I knew that I wasn't going to buy anything super extended. And at the time, I didn't really have any connections or friends that could kind of give me good deals on handpans. So I chose just a standard 8-note F-low pygmy, and I think the reason I chose that was because I sat and listened to loads of different scales online, and I watched loads of different videos. I was watching a lot of Yatao videos. I was watching a lot of Kabasao videos. David Kuckerman. Who else was I watching at the time? I don't remember. Those were kind of the main ones. And I was watching a lot of scale demos from different makers. And I think, honestly, I just really liked the sound of the F-low pygmy. And I liked so many, but I liked what people were doing with that one. And then one became available in the Meridian shop. And I liked the sound of the Meridian, so I just kind of went for it, and I just bought it, and I loved it, and I had that for years, and I just sold it this year, in exchange for another F-low pygmy. Actually, I bought the same scale again, but extended again. And I wanted something. When I was buying that, I knew that I was going into teaching a little bit more, starting to teach handpan a bit, and I was performing with the handpan. And I knew that the decode was going to be my kind of workhorse for that. But I wanted an instrument that was going to be just for me, and that I could really meditate with and just kind of get into the flow with and chill with no pressure. And I thought that the F-low pygmy was really good for that because it only has 5 notes. It repeats the same 4 notes exactly, in a lower octave and a higher octave. And so it's really, really difficult to go wrong. Everything just sounds really nice. And so I just kind of bit the bullet and went for it. And it's also kind of what I like about the F-low pygmy and the decode is that they're quite inoffensive in that they don't have huge character. They're not like screaming a particular sound. And so, especially for your first instrument or your first couple of instruments, I think that's really helpful, because then if you do choose a scale and you've only got one instrument, and the one instrument that you've got, the one instrument that you've got is this. This is a beautiful scale, but I absolutely would not recommend it as your only scale. Your only scale is this. It's so enchanting. It really pulls you in. It's really beautiful. But if that's the only handpan that you've got, or you've only got this and one other, maybe if you've got one other, that's kind of enough to keep you satiated. But that's the only vibe you have. You always have to be in the mood for that particular sound. It's got so much character to it that you have to lean into it, and you have to listen to what it has to say. You can't force it to be any particular way. And so as an early instrument, as a beginner, someone who, if you maybe don't have a huge handle on kind of music theory and making stuff your own and that kind of thing, and I think it's better to go with the scales that really naturally you just love every time you hear it, that feel quite easy listening, if that makes sense, that don't scream anything too crazy, so that you've got a little bit of versatility in your playing, a little bit of comfortability, and you can just sit with what you've got. For me, this is one of my favorite scales in the world, but I absolutely would not go for this first. And I don't pick it up as nearly as often as my Kurd, my Sabai, my Pygmies, because they're so much more versatile. In my opinion, this is incredibly versatile. It's got a stupid amount of notes on it, incredibly versatile in what it is. And it feels like it's never ending, like I could just play it forever. But it's always going to have this sound. Thank you, everybody, for the donations. I love the is this new? There's like a little emoji GIF thing happening. has a very particular sound to it. Stunning, beautiful, but you have to listen to it. You have to go with what it wants to say. There's just no way around that. Yeah. 20. Desert Rose 20. That has 20 notes on it. Crazy. Oh my goodness, everybody's so kind. Thank you. You're all amazing. Christina asks, are you going to start weekly Handpan Connect? Definitely not this spring. I am going away this spring. I will be in Australia. If anybody's in Australia, probably not at this time. I think it's very early AM at this time, so nobody will be listening. But I'm going to go teach there for some residencies, and also as part of the Panos Festival, as well as the Kiwi Pan Festival in New Zealand. Yeah. And another gig that isn't announced yet, so I won't say anything. Okay, let's see. Shadow says, I bought the cheap Amazon Handpan to try out. Really love playing it. Is it best to transition to a good pan early? Don't know what I like yet. Just scared to spend 1,000 to 2,000 on a pan I might not like, since I've only been playing for 2 weeks, albeit every day with love. Nice. Good to hear that you're in love. This is a tough one. A €200 Amazon Handpan. Sometimes people get lucky with those. Rarely. My first Handpan was probably better quality than what is available on Amazon right now. I think, yeah, for a lot of people, they're great for starting out. They're great for practicing rhythms and grooves and that kind of thing, and getting used to how it feels to move up and down a scale in a handpan and move in this kind of more circular motion than you might be used to if you've ever hit a drum or played guitar or whatever, if you're, a musician already. Or even if not, it's just all completely new movements and new sounds to get used to. So I think that's great to make sure that you are going to like it. However, it is very, very limiting. There's only so much you can do with an instrument that is of that quality. From my experience of handpans from that price range, the steel is often very thin. The tuning is often they're not even fine-tuned. The tuning is very rough, and they can be quite quick to go out of tune. And the resonance just isn't half as warm and as nice as a high quality handpan. And so what you might find, and this is what I found when I had an early instrument of a cheaper price range, is that once you start getting better, and once you start getting comfortable, and you are wanting to compose or improvise or play with other musicians or anything like that, that's where you're going to hit limits, because there's only so much you can do in terms of nuance and texture and that kind of playing around with tone in that way on an instrument of that price range. There's just a very, very small range of dynamic, and you often can't play them very loud without them sounding very twangy. So eventually you definitely will want to move on. And if you've been playing for 2 weeks every day, like nonstop, then you probably love it. And maybe you should upgrade. So yeah, I think it's different for everybody. Depends on your budget, how able you are to buy. If you can find a maker that might be willing to help you out with incremental payments or something. I don't know how common that is. But it's so worth it. Or if you can find someone who has a handpan that is higher quality that you can just play, that will ruin your handpan for you if you get that chance, because suddenly you'll just realize what the difference is in quality. So yeah, I recommend it. I do recommend. But if you're having a great time already, then enjoy the great time and just roll with it for as long as you feel comfortable. And then when you feel ready to move on, move on. Yeah, it's entirely up to you. Just drinking some tea from my my merchandise here that I made years ago and never sold. This is my logo that I don't really put anywhere. It's me, a stick figure, playing a handpan. I drew that, I did. Yeah. Pleasure. Let's jam. If anybody has any other questions, please feel free. And also, thank you so much for the money. It's amazing. It's really kind. Okay, I have this song that I need to practice because I'm going to film a video. I sang it on the last live stream. If you were here, I'm going to do it again. And I haven't played it since then. That was a week ago. So we'll see how this goes. Already went wrong. I walked across an empty land. I knew the pathway like the back of my hand. I just came across, no, I felt the earth beneath my feet. Sat by the river and it made me complete. Oh, simple thing, where have you gone? I'm getting old and I need someone to rely on. So tell me why you're gonna let me in. I'm getting tired and I need somewhere to begin. I came across a fallen tree. I felt the branches of it looking at me. Is this the place we used to love? Is this the place that I've been dreaming of? Oh, simple thing, where have you gone? I'm getting old and I need someone to rely on. So tell me why you're gonna let me in. I'm getting tired and I need somewhere to begin. And if you have a minute, why don't we go talk about it somewhere only we know? This could be the end of everything, so why don't we go somewhere only we know? Somewhere only we know. A simple thing, where have you gone? I'm getting tired and I need someone to rely on. So tell me when you're gonna let me in. I'm getting old and I need somewhere to begin. And if you have a minute, why don't we go talk about it somewhere only we know? This could be the end of everything, so why don't we go? So why don't we go? This could be the end of everything, so why don't we go somewhere only we know? Somewhere only we know. Still working on that one. I have another one that I'm working on as well. Exciting news. I don't know if any of you here, I know a lot of you watch this channel for my tutorials, but I also make music, and my main thing is singing and playing handpan, and I write kind of folky pop songs. My most recent project was The Earth Teachers, an album that I released a year ago that I took on tour last year. This year, I'm doing something a little bit different. My next project is very much pop music, and I'm working with a producer, which is very exciting. And so we've been developing the arrangement of the song that I wrote last year. It's called "Everyone Can See Us." I don't know if you saw it, if you've been following me since then. And it's a song about being queer, being LGBT, kind of online, and receiving interesting comments and comments about your lifestyle or whatever. I wrote this song about it, and so the guy that I'm working with is helping me to make it a little bit more poppy, I really want to bring the handpan into the more mainstream kind of scene, and I also want to bring these kind of topics into mainstream music as well, which is happening already, which is amazing. So this is the gay song, which is the working title that I have for it, but with a slightly new arrangement. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, basically, if I can actually remember how it goes. I have the lyrics written down. Hold my hand, tell what's about. No one has the right to judge. It's not a crime to. Okay, I might have to read that. I could do with an E. I don't have. I can't bother. Okay, it's okay. Hold my hand and kiss me where everyone can see us. Take my hand and I'll be ready to defend us. Should any man tell me we're anything but joyous, they don't know love when they see it. They won't stop us from being proud. Shout it loud, it's easy to stay under the radar, but I see now that we don't have to step out too far to be found by some creep who's only here to cause harm. They don't know love when they see it. They won't stop us from being proud. No one can tell me what's bad about it. No one can tell me what to sing about. No one has the right to judge. It's not a crime to love. No one can tell me who to love now. I'm screaming from the rooftops. Second verse, we're all here today to live free and inspire those we care about. It's all the same, so don't be the one to bring another down. And if they say we should be quiet, just remember now they don't know love when they see it. They won't stop us from being proud. No one can tell me what's bad about it. No one can tell me what to sing about. No one has the right to judge. It's not a crime to love. No one can tell me who to love now. I'm screaming from the rooftop. can't tell me what to smile about, can't tell me what to sing, can't tell me who to love now, can't tell me how to live, can't tell me what to smile about, can't tell me what to sing, can't tell me who to love now, can't tell me how to live, can't tell me what to smile about, can't tell me what to sing, can't tell me who to love now, can't tell me how to live, can't tell me what to smile about, can't tell me what to sing, can't tell me who to love now, can't tell me how to live. No one can tell me what to smile about it, no one can tell me what to sing about, I scream it from the back, it's not a crime to love. No one can tell me what to smile about it, no one can tell me what to sing about, no one has the right to judge, it's not a crime to love. No one can tell me who to love now, I'll scream it from the rooftops. Ta-da! That's it. The last version of this was a lot more handpan-y. It had a lot more of that. It opened with that. Initially we were going to omit it completely to kind of give room for more kind of electronic instruments. But actually, I really like it with the payoff of it finally happening at the end. Yeah, I'd love to hear what you think of that. It's a work in progress. I have some other songs that may or may not go on the album, I don't know. I've just been writing one this afternoon. But I can't remember how it goes. I'm just gonna see how it goes. And then maybe I can play it. Let's see. Oh, my phone's just told me that I'm live. I forgot to tell Instagram that I'm live. Maybe I should do that. Maybe it's kind of late. Shall I? Selfie with with the screen? No, I'm not going to do that. Actually, I'm going to do it. I'm going to very quickly do it. It does get in my head, which is probably a good sign. Whee! Sorry, I know this is incredibly boring, just watching me typing on my phone. But I'm going to play you this new song. Maybe I'll work on it some more. Maybe it'll make it into the set this year. Who knows? I'm really excited, actually, this year to be touring not just alone, but with Rosie. It'll be our first time traveling for an extended period of time together, so we'll see how well we get along. It'll be fun. But it will also be our first time playing as Porta Banda, our handpan duo, kind of, all over the place. So I'm really excited for that. So maybe these new songs of mine might not make it into the set quite yet. But I'm learning to have patience, which is nice. I'm just going to check in with how this song actually goes. It's still kind of rough. You say my... Okay. so calm is when I hear you say my name. When I'm in your arms, everything else floats away. I never felt so calm as when I hear you say my name. My voice is rough today. When I'm in your when I'm in your arms, everything else floats away. I've never felt so, I never felt. This is how I practice. When I'm in your, when I'm in your, everything else floats away. I never felt so calm as when I hear you say my name. When I'm in your arms, everything else floats away. I never felt so calm as when I hear you say my name. And then I maybe need some kind of chorus section. It's still really chill, really simple. Something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not feeling inspired to continue writing that yet. But it will develop. It will happen. Yeah, I have another song that I'm working on that will also be in the new project. And it goes like this. Didn't look around, but I really wanted to get loud, just like everybody everybody else. You put me in and took my hand. You told me that you understand. Then you said, don't you dare try to tell me you don't know how to dance. Now look at me. First the head goes, then the feet go, then the arms go, then the hips flow. Take me to a party somewhere, show me how to dance. Use me in a crowd somewhere, and you won't stand a chance of finding me lonely. I'm just happy to be on my feet. Believe me, this is what I mean when I say we just have to be free. If this is how it feels to work it, then I think everyone deserves it. Feeling alive, living with pride. I believe that we can achieve anything we like, 'cause everybody is united. First the head goes, then the feet go, then the arms go, and the hips flow. Take me to a party somewhere, show me how to dance. Use me in a crowd somewhere, and you won't stand a chance of finding me lonely. I'm just happy to be on my feet. Believe me, this is what I mean when I say we just have to be free. Yeah. First the head goes, then the feet go, then the arms go, then the hips flow. Take me to a party somewhere, show me how to dance. Use me in a crowd somewhere, and you won't stand a chance of finding me lonely. I'm just happy to be on my feet. Believe me, this is what I mean when I say we just have to be free. Take me to a party somewhere, show me how to dance. Use me in a crowd somewhere, and you won't stand a chance of finding me lonely. I'm just happy to be on my feet. Believe me, this is what I mean when I say we just have to be free. Yeah. So let's get together, start a movement with this energy. And that's it. When is the next festival for you in another country? Hey Hannah, good to see you. Australia, Pan Oz. I'll be at Pan Oz, which is very exciting, and that is in April. I can tell you the dates for that one as soon as I look it up. Blah, blah, blah. April the 18th to the 22nd. Yeah, and then I will also be at Kiwi Fest the next month, which is the 9th to the 12th of May. So if you want to come to Australia, if you're around in Australia or New Zealand, please join us. I'll also be teaching a couple of retreats in the Melbourne area alongside Rosie. We will be performing together as Porta Banda in all of these places. And also unannounced, we'll also be playing at Pantasia in California. So those are the kind of spring, the spring dates. North New Zealand, I think not too far out from Auckland, I believe. I don't really have any much planned for Europe this year. I'm not going to make it to Hona, unfortunately. Where am I going to be? I'm going to be at the Canaries Handpan Festival again in the autumn. I think tickets might even already be on sale for that if you want to get in early for that one. That's going to be awesome. And then I'm also going to be floating around in September in the US as well, on the East Coast. But I don't have anything else planned in Europe. Because last year I went everywhere. Oh, I'm completely lying. I'm completely lying to you. Germany in July for Pangonia, which is just outside of Berlin, which is an amazing little festival. And then also around that same time, I think a week after, is the Handpan Summer School, Handpan Wild Naya Handpan Academy. That's like a whole 7 days of diving deep into studying the handpan, and there's like performances every night. Yeah, so I'll be in Germany. Also, I am going to be writing all of these things down and emailing all of this out to everyone on my mailing list. If you're not on my mailing list, join me over there. You want the nail roll again? Okay, here it comes. I completely lost it. I really need to keep up with practice on that because it's gone. The consistency of it's gone. It's better than last week though. It does not sound pretty. Thank you. Please do. Practice accountability, buddy. Okay, I think I'm losing it now. So with that, I'm gonna go. But if anyone has anything, any specific questions or topics or things that they'd like some videos on, or stuff to do in these settings, Jim, I'm just leaving. It wasn't anything you said. What was I saying? Yeah, questions, things, ideas. I'm all ears. I'm all ears, and I would love to hear all of that. yeah. But I have 1,000,001 videos that I'm currently editing. Lots of within collaboration with Rosie, which is exciting. But yeah, hey Sandra. Yeah, with that, I'm gonna wish you all a good evening or a good afternoon, depending on where you are, and say goodbye. Thank you for being here, for hanging out for the last hour and a half. It's been nice. It's been chill. I'll see you all again soon.